Welcome to Andy's Garage. I'm Andy Phillips. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the Serpentine belt on a Nissan Quest. Now this particular one here is a 2008. It's the 3.5 liter Nissan engine. Let's go ahead and get started. Now to access it, you need to remove the passenger side front wheel. As you can see, I already have that off, and we're going to go in a minute and look closely, and I'll show you where it goes. This particular vehicle, just to kind of let you know what happened, this was being driven by the driver and the belt actually snapped. And what happened is that the alternator and the AC compressor stopped working. So battery light came on the dash, brake light came on, all the indications normally that your alternator is failing. However, after raising it up and looking at it, noticed that there was no belt on there. So that was the issue. They did also mention that their AC stopped blowing cold, which is another indication because that's in the same run of this same belt here. You have your power steering belt, which is the one behind it, and we'll see that in a minute. And then you have the Serpentine belt, which is the one in front that goes around the crankshaft pulley and then comes around the air compressor and then the alternator. But let's get a close-up in here, and I'll show you where it's located. I'll show you what you'll need to do this, and then we'll go ahead and swap it out. And you'll notice here we have the vehicle jacked up. I do have a jack stand next to the jack. You never want to be going underneath without jack stands. Don't rely strictly on the jack. It's dangerous. But if we come in here into this passenger side wheel well, here's our crankshaft pulley. Up there's our power steering pulley. This is our AC compressor. All the way up there's our alternator, and then here you have our guide pulley or tensioner pulley. And right up on the top, I'll see if I can get a shot of it, you have a little bolt that you can tighten to adjust the tension. And then on this side here, just for the sake of knowledge, there's one right behind the power steering pulley there, and that's for this other belt, which we're not getting into in this video. But on this one, we're going to be focusing strictly on the one that goes here. It's going to go around this crankshaft pulley, around the compressor, up around the alternator, underneath this guide pulley, and then back around the crankshaft. Here's a diagram for you to see exactly how it goes. All right, so normally, if you were just changing the belt out, you would have one on there that you would remove. In this case, as we already mentioned, it broke, so there's nothing to remove. But the first thing I need to do is I need to go to the idler pulley and adjust the tension, raise it up a little bit so we can get the belt in place, and then we can adjust it accordingly, and I'll show you roughly how you want the tension to be. So let me show you how you can access the adjuster nut on that. Here on the left side, where the belt is located, looking straight down on the left side of the engine, you'll see it. Here's a close-up. Coming in here on the left of the engine, you can see this hex pattern right there. That's how you adjust the leveler pulley. That's a 14 millimeter socket that you'll put on that. You turn it clockwise to tighten it, counterclockwise to loosen it. But first, we need to loosen the pulley itself. Let's head back underneath, and I'll show you where that is. So right here in the middle, that's another 14 millimeter nut. We'll have to loosen that, and then we'll be able to raise it and lower it. Once we get the belt put on here, then we can adjust it properly. Then we'll tighten that up, and then we'll be good to go with that. Now, these are the items that you'll need to complete this. Obviously, you are going to need your replacement Serpentine belt. This particular one here is a Continental brand. I picked it up at AutoZone. There's your part number on it right there. But you can check these online. It might have different part numbers based on the manufacturer. Next, what I highly recommend is what's known as either a pass-through or a go-through ratchet. And I'll show you here what that is. Basically, the socket goes inside, so that way it's for very tight fits, and you're going to see as we get into this why that's important. And I also have a 14 millimeter go-through or pass-through socket in that. You will need just a regular ratchet. If you have an extension, that helps. It's not needed, but it does help, and you'll see in a minute when we have to get to the adjuster screw for that, and then a 14 millimeter socket. So this is all that you'll need. So coming back here to this thing, there's absolutely no way that I can get that ratchet in there. Look at that. Definitely can't fit in there to get that off. These are usually pretty tight, so you're going to need a breaker bar or something. If you try to use a regular wrench, and I'll show you what can happen. If these are over tightened, and you try to get a wrench in here to remove that, what happens, and you can see the wrench starts to pull away, and what will happen is you'll strip it, as you can see already started to happen with this one. So if we get our pass-through socket and ratchet, I'll show you how easy that can take that off. Looking up in here, you can see it on that pulley. Nice access to it, and we have it nice and snug. You want the complete nut covered in that so you have a good grip on it, and you can see the good clearance we have there, so this should be able to pull it off. Now with this nut loosened, and you can see this one's got a little strip there trying to get it off, so we're going to replace that anyway. But now with that loose, this can move up and down, so we can put the belt in here, and we can lower it back in. Once we have it set, then we'll go ahead and tighten that accordingly and lock everything in place. Now with the idler pulley loose, up in here, we can move it. We can feed the belt. So I'm going to put it around the crankshaft pulley first. And unfortunately, I can't get a better angle right now, but I am going to move the camera so you can see a different shot. But we'll feed it around that. Next, we'll come around here, the compressor pulley. And then we'll work our way up top to go around the alternator. And then we'll work it underneath this pulley here. And then we'll adjust the tension on the pulley when we're done. And then here's our pulley. You can see how the belt goes here around the crankshaft pulley, and then underneath the idler. Then it's going to loop around, go around the alternator, back this way around the compressor, and then back this way. I can't show that because I need both hands, so I'm going to feed it, and then we'll be back to take a look at it. Slide it right there. You can see it's around the alternator pulley. And then if we come down here, it's going all around. So now we'll head up to the top, and we'll adjust the tension on this idler pulley here, get it in place, and then we'll tighten that nut. Like I said, I am going to replace that nut since this one is a little bit stripped. What I'll do is I'll come in by hand first. We'll turn that, and then when we get it tight enough, then I'll connect the ratchet to it. You can see right here. Have the ratchet in here. And you can use the extension. It's going to be a little bit of an angle. I found right here, you have access to get a ratchet in there. So we're going to tighten this up, and then we'll go underneath and check the tension on it. Come underneath here. You can see still a little bit loose, but now's a good time to just take a look. Make sure it's nice and set inside the pulleys. Nothing is off. Last thing you want is it not to be fully set properly, and then you start driving and the thing flies off or rips. You can see everything is on. Let's head back up top and finish tightening it up all the way. All right, let's check it. Oh yeah, that's good. Let me get a close-up and I'll show you how the tension should be. All right, now this is with belts in general. When you tighten them, you want it to be right here at the open spot. You want to be able to push on it and have it be no more than about 1/4 of an inch, which, let's see if we show it here. That's about where we are with this. About 1/4 of an inch. So that's a good tension on that. Next, we're going to swap out that nut, tighten that up, and then we'll start up the vehicle and try it out. Go ahead and tighten this up all the way. There we go. Everything is good. Let's start it up. right, so as you saw, everything is working great. That wraps up this video on how to replace the serpentine belt on a Nissan Quest. As mentioned already, this is a 2008. It's got the 3.5 liter V6. Any of the other vehicles with this engine should be the same process. So the only thing left now is you would just put your wheel on and you're good to go at that point. I'm leaving it off because I'm doing other work to the car, but I hope this video was informative for you. I hope it helped you out with any projects you're working on with your Nissan Quest with the belt situation. If you have any questions or comments, please send them in. I would love to hear from you. And as always, I appreciate all the support. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you next time.